Hi everyone and welcome to part 2 of our two-fold folio. What we're going to do today is the matting. Now I know that there's some bits that people want to know about, like how do I attach my magnets, how to cut these bits to get round the corners of the flappy bits, because that's what we're going to call it now, it's a flappy bit, and just general sort of matting and layering. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to speed most of the boring bits up. I will post the whole video of the whole process, but most of it is just boring. You're not going to be interested, so we'll just fast forward through those bits so that you can see the main bits of interest. Now this is my book as far as I've got so far. I'm going to do probably, it'll look slightly different to this one because I've got different papers. It's still the Lost in Paradise collection by Graphic 45, but I just like to mix it up and do something a bit different. Haven't necessarily got the same papers left, but if you're using the same papers as me, it'll give you a couple of other options. And just remember that you don't have to make it exactly like mine. At the end of the day, this is your book and you can do it exactly any way you want. The other thing that I'll say at this point as well is that on this book I have inked the edges of my papers in black. I didn't do it on this because I completely forgot, but I think I might still ink the edges of the main papers, but we'll see as we go. So I'm going to crack on now and start matting. The front page will actually do last, so all I'm going to do at this point is just put a single piece of paper down there and then we'll get on with the other bits. So I will see you very soon. Now when I cut, I tend to leave approximately 1/8 of an inch or so around the edge of my papers, because I do like to have the outside bit of card showing. So I'm just going to cut it to size and I'm going to see if it fits. Which it absolutely does. So that's my front cover. I'm going to put that down for now and then I'm going to get on with the rest. Now, when I'm matting a pocket like this one here, the best way for me to do it is actually to slip the paper inside so that you don't see. So hold on 2 seconds while I just... I've measured this depth here as 6.5 inches. And in theory, if that's the right size, that will just slip inside the pocket there. So that you can't see any of the background at all. It just fits in really nicely there and just slips in, so I can just put on there. So I'll just ink my edge. Pop some glue on. And I'm just going to slip this into the pocket here. Okay, and that gives me a really nice edge to my pocket, so that when I take out any of my photo mats, I'm not going to have a big gap. So whether it's got a piece out of it or not, I always just slip those bits in. That's quite nice. Or shall I use that one? So I'll show you how I do it with a cutout. Now there's 2 ways you can do it. You can either mat your pocket before you stick it on and then cut the 2 pieces out, which probably is the easiest. That's weird. Why did I cut it like that? I didn't need to have cut any off then at all. Good job I've got some spare pieces. Right, let's try again. Perfect. Right, so if I now mark where my half circle is and get my punch, line it up with the marks that I've made that I can't see now. And just punch that out. That should fit. It pretty much does. Just need to trim that down a bit. Okay. Okay. So with the flappy bits here, I've been asked how I cut my pieces to fit, considering that we've kind of mited these corners here and here. I'm sure there is a scientific way to do it. However, I'll cheat. I just do it my way. I've always done it the same way. Can't tell you why, but I'll show you how. So I know that this piece is, in theory, 3.5, but I don't know why I'm measuring that, 8 inches. I know that. So I'm going to cut a piece for here and here, and they are going to measure 3 and 3/8 of an inch by 7 and 7/8 of an inch. Yeah, that's spot on. So I need 2 of those. 3 and in theory, those should fit just where we want them to go. You can see that they're wide enough here. Leave them a little bit of a gap for a flap. Okay, but we know that they're the right length. So here's what I do. I'm just going to turn my book round so I can see it better. I'm going to line that up so that I know that that's right, and I'm going to get me a pencil, which I probably haven't got. Pen will do, or actually I'm just going to use the end of my compass, and I'm going to see roughly here where I think 1/8 of an inch is, and I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to mark it the same at the other side. So you might not be able to see this very well, but I've just marked with my compass point a point there and a point there. So I'm now going to get my trimmer, and I am going to cut with my trimmer from the compass mark I've made here to that edge. Let's get my trimmer, line up where I've made the mark, right up to the point there, and I'm going to cut that and cut off that triangle. I'm going to turn it, I'm going to find my other mark, find the corner and cut that. And in theory, if I've done this right, that will sit, yep, pretty much exactly right. Slightly out, not a huge amount, I'm really not that bothered. So I'm going to just ink that edge. And I'm going to glue that into my book. So let's line it up there and there. Make sure that looks pretty much right, which it does now. There we go. And that's literally all I do to make sure that I get the right angles. So I'm going to do exactly the same on the other side. I'm going to line that up where I think my paper should go. Yep. I'm going to get the point of my compass or my pokey tool. I'm going to mark there at where I think 1/8 of an inch is. She says she just moved the whole thing. That was good. And I'm going to do the same over here. I'm going to get my trimmer. and I'm going to cut from where I made the mark, which I can't see now. See that one? Right down to that corner. So there. To there. This is why I like this Fiskars trimmer, because I don't know if you can see there's a wire down here. And that helps a huge amount when it comes to lining up. Can't find my mark. Oh, there it is. So that is I think it's there. See, put that down now and I can see exactly where it's going to cut because of that wire mark. Let's see if I did do that right. Miracle of miracles. Yep, it's near enough. Happy with that. I guess you could do it by measuring in, let's see, if you measured in I'm going to try it a different way on the bottoms, by measuring in, because our gap was 1 inch as I recall. So if I measure in 1 inch and 1/8, that might also work. Let's see. So let's pop that in. Oh, no, that's not quite right, that end. Okay, I have done better than that before now, but it'll do. So now I've got to decide. Now I've got to line these up. No, I think I'm going to have to cut from scratch, because I want it to line up. That isn't far off. So that's 6. 1 in from 6. Can't remember the depth of that. Lost my ruler. Okay, does anybody know where I put my ruler, which I've just had in my hands? Two and a half. So say 2.5. That's 2. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so I'm just going to trim that end slightly. Right, so what happens, I don't know if this is going to work, but what happens if I now, let me just check this is the right way around. Yeah, measure in 1 1/8. Just mark that. Just see if that would be in the right place. Can't find my mark. No, because that wasn't 1 inch, was it? How much was that? 3/4 of an inch. So I'm going to measure 7/8 of an inch, which is to there. Let's see how that looks. 7/8 of an inch. Too far. 3/4 of an inch. That would work. You could do it so you measure 3/4 of an inch in from each side. Yeah, that would work. So I'm just going to mark where 3/4 of an inch is. There. there. And I'll just cut that with my trusty trimmer. And let's see. I like my way better, I have to say. I don't like that fit at all. So I'm going to go back to my way. Which is much more about eyeballing it. I'm going to mark with my compass. You can use a pen or a pencil for this, because you're going to ink around the edges anyway, so you're not going to see it. Right, let's try again. Yeah, I like that fit much better. So there you go. You can measure it, but I'm not going to. I like my way, where you just guesstimate a bit more. So now you know how I do my corners. Now, I'm just going to do this last one, because on the front page of this page, we're going to have a think about where we put our magnets. Yeah, much happier with the fit of that. Okay, so on here we're going to put our magnets. Now on my original book, which I've lost, I actually didn't put any magnets, but you can do. And if I was going to put some magnets on, I'd put them under here, so they'd fit under there to clip onto there, so that you get that really satisfying little clip sound when you put things together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose my piece for here. I'm going to mat this piece, the left hand side long piece, and I am going to mat the top and bottom. I am not going to mat here, and I am not going to mat here, and that will become clear why. So I'll see you in a moment. Okay, so as for magnets, here's what I'm going to do. I've put my, I've matted this half of my flappy thing. You may have noticed that Storm's now joined us. So if she gets in the shot, I'm really sorry. So this is one of the cut apart sheets that I've used. I've chosen, but I've cut it down because it was just slightly too big, which I didn't really want to do because I like the yellow around the edge, but hey. I have matted it onto a piece of white card to strengthen it. The other one had a bit of matte round it, but because I'd already matted it and then cut it, I didn't do that. So what I'm going to do is just decide exactly where I want it, which is going to be about there. And I'm just going to take some glue. Whoops, and I'm just going to attach it to where I want it to go. Okay, I think that's about right. Let's just have a look. Probably a bit high up, not that it matters overly much. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put some magnets on here. Now, how do I do that so that they line up? Well, just let me get my magnets out and I'll show you how I do it. There will be magnets in the shop if people want it. I get incredibly strong ones. I think they're quite specific. Mark gets them for me, so you'll have to ask him. I'm probably going to use 4 on this just because. So if you've got magnets, I would suggest that what you do is you slide them off your pack of magnets, because if you try and pull them off, you're going to have trouble. Make sure that you slide them back on when you don't need them as well, because they will shatter. In fact, there's one in the middle there that I can see that looks like it's part shattered already. So they really will break, so do be very, very careful with your magnets. So I've got 4 magnets here and I'm going to decide where I want them. So I'm just going to open up this bit here, and I think just for argument's sake, we're going to put 2 there and 2 down there. So the way I start is this. I am going to get some double-sided sticky tape, which I had earlier on. I expect someone's sitting on it, so I'll just get some more. And I'm just going to put a couple of pieces where I want my magnets to go, roughly. Gonk everywhere. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take tape off, and I'm going to lay down my magnets onto the double-sided tape. Now, it actually doesn't matter which way round they are, and I'll show you why in a minute. So I'm going to slide them apart like that, put them onto the double-sided tape. Okay, now just so I know roughly where they're going to go, I'm just going to put a little bob of glue on the top, so that when I fold that over and just press it down like that, oh, double-sided tape, joyful, I'm going to have a little mark here. You probably can't see it, so what I'll do is I'll mark it with a pen where my magnets are going to go. So that's there, 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 and there. Okay, so I know roughly where they need to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get some more double-sided tape, and I'm going to lay it down on top of the magnets with the tape, you know, the what's it side of it, the non-sticky side, facing up. Okay, and I'm going to get my other magnets, which I've just put somewhere safe, and I'm going to lay them down. Now that they're going to tell me which way round they want to go. Yeah, see this magnet in transit, as you can see, that's shattered. It doesn't matter too much, I can still use it, but you do have to be really, really careful with them, because they will break. So that goes there, that goes there. going to take some more double-sided tape and lay that down where my magnets are going to go over here. And I'm going to lay that over. And I'm just going to stick that down. And carefully, if I lift that up, my magnets are here, all safe and exactly where they need to be. So actually what I should have done was measured this first. That was a bit daft. I'll just measure that and cut it to size. Just check. Yep. I'm just going to ink my edge. Take off those bits of double-sided tape. And I'm going to glue this on top so that you don't see the magnets. Let's just make sure that's right. Let's have a look. Yeah. Okay, so you can't see the magnets on that side. What I need to do is cover this now. So I might as well just see if I've got a piece there that fits. Yep. Lost my ruler again. Oh God, I bet Storm's sitting on it. You sitting on my ruler, Storm? Are you? Excuse me. Just need to... yep, you are, of course. Yes, hello. I just have my ruler back. Oh God, thank you. And that's, say, 2¼ inches. By 3½. Let's see if that fits. More or less. It's near enough. That on top of there like that. On top of my magnets. Make sure it's adhered down nicely. And in theory, when I shut this up now, I hope you can see this because Storm's tail's in the way. Oh, God, that is so satisfying. And there we have a perfectly closed and magnetised opening. Just got to do that again because I love that noise. Right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to carry on decorating those two bits, and then I'm going to put these bits down here, and then we are going to have a look at how I did the front cover. So I will be back with you in a moment. so that's the book actually decorated and matted, more to the point, but we will come back and do further decoration on this yet. But what I want to do now is look at my front cover. Now, when I did this front cover, what I did was I matted the background with the piece of paper that had these cockatoos on it. Because I had a second piece of paper, I then went back and I fussy cut round the cockatoo, the one nearest this big one here, and then I laid it up onto some chipboard. You could use foam pads just to higher it up. Then what I did here was I just fussy cut loads and loads of different bits out of all of the design papers. I did leaves, I did the toucan because he's kind of cute, I did some butterflies, I did loads and loads of flowers, and then I literally just layered them up until I was happy. And I'm pretty much going to do that with here, except what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a look through the design paper that I've still got left, and I'm going to see what I can cut out, because I know that there's various shapes on the cut apart sheets that I can cut out, and there's lots of flowers and birds and such like. So I'm going to cut out a whole selection of things, and then I'm going to come back and decide how I want them to look. So this is going to take a little while, so I'm going to speed this bit up as well. probably much enough for the front cover. It's very layered. You might not want to do yours like this because it's not really, it looks really great, but it's not really a book that you can use lots and lots and lots. So I think the final bit that I'm going to do on the front cover is just to add some words in. I've got some Tim Holtz words here. I've always usually got some of these knocking about. Those are what I used on my original ones, but I kind of like the consistency of these. So I think I might well just use these. Trouble is, it's always choosing the right ones, and then just decide where you want to put them. Try and put them straight. That's always the difficult bit too. Oop, I don't really want to put that over my butterfly. Okay, that'll do for the front cover. But I've still got loads of bits that I've fussy cut that I haven't done anything with yet, so I need to decide what I'm going to do with those. But I've still got the inside to decorate, and obviously my photo mats to make. So this page I don't think really needs a great deal, maybe a couple of sentiments here. These papers are so beautiful that they really don't need a lot. And the same here, we've got that lovely butterfly. I'm just wondering if there's another one that we can add. Got that yellow one. Might be kind of cute just to add a little bit of extra interest on that flower there. Not quite straight. There's a surprise. Don't eat it, Storm. Stay there. What have I still got left? Lots of yellow flowers. Probably not a lot on this one. Although, I wonder... That's kind of cute. And this bit. Do we need any more on this middle bit? I don't know. The only thing I'd be inclined to do is put some of those on. But maybe, oh, storm. No, that's my drink. Don't you dare. Come on, make your mind up, please. Right, peace. No, I think it's going to be too much. You know what? I think that's enough. I might just put a sentiment on here. Let's line that up there. Right. Then I think, as far as I'm concerned, for the actual decoration of the book, although I might put something on the very back cover, just a sentiment. I think, as far as the book goes, I think that will do. So there we go. So there's my cover with all of my fussy cut elements, all just kind of layered up. I didn't like the paper put on there. It was too busy, she says, the first time. So that's why I kind of added lots of bits in. Open it up, I've got my pocket here. I've got a pocket here for me to put some photo mats in, pocket there, and pocket here for photo mats too. So the book's finished. What we're going to do now is make the photo mats. Now traditionally I think most photos are 6 by 4 inches, so that's what we're going to do. Now when I make photo mats generally, just so really you can see what I mean, I make them so that I put white card on instead of the photo so that you can see how it goes. So 6 by 4 photo mat there, that's where your photo would go, and I've just added a piece of white card. You can do the same, or you can put photos straight into it, mat the back, but obviously if you wanted to put 2 photos on each side you can. This little mat here, this is for photos that are 3 by 2, and that is a 5 by 7. But as you can see, what I've done with these is I've just added them so that you can put your photo, just put that down, you can put your photo underneath there, so it'll just slot in. So all we've got to do now is just make some photo mats. Judging by what I've got in here, I would say I had 1, 2, 3, 4 5 by 7 photo mats, so I would have cut those at 5 1/8 of an inch and 7 1/8 of an inch. We have got 3 that are, let me just measure this, I think 3 1/8 of an inch by 6 1/8 of an inch, and then I've got 3 that are 6 1/8 of an inch by 4 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go off and make those now. I'm just going to decorate them up a bit. You can see here I've maybe got, if I've got some of the chipboard, I've put that on, I've cut some bits out, I've used my scraps of paper. There's all sorts of bits left over, you know, like the words down here or the postage stamps that we can add just for a bit of added interest. And then once that's done and our photo mats are all in our book, it will be finished. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to make my photo mats and then I'll take some photos so that you can see what I've done with my book. But thank you so much for joining me. I have plans for loads and loads more books. The next one that we're going to make is going to be a proper mini book, and I'll just show you the cover of that now. So that's this mini book here. As you can see, it is quite large. I've done it slightly differently this time because instead of matting onto the pages, I've actually cut the pages directly out of the coloured paper so that we're not actually matting anything, as it were. But we can talk about that. when I get around to photographing it. So that'll be the next book that we make, and then I think we'll go back to something quite simple, maybe a one-page wonder of some description. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I do, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye bye.